Mr. Daniels says we have to write a paper describing how we feel about a short story he read today. He says there's no right or wrong answer. He just wants to know our thoughts. Part of my brain knows that this shouldn't be that hard. I will be able to tell him in 2 minutes how I feel about it, but I'll be celebrating another birthday by the time I get it written down. And when I do, he probably won't be able to understand it anyway. Travis comes in the back door, drops his bag, and takes off his steel-toed boots. Hey, Squirt. The smell of a garage fills the kitchen, but I like it. Hey, I say, trying to get the thoughts floating around in my head to land on the paper. I don't know why the things in my brain get lost on the way down my arm. Travis takes a carton of orange juice out of the fridge and drinks from it. Hello, Travis? Gross. He laughs at me. No one else will think that now, you know. Good, he smiles. My plan is a success. He walks away, taking the whole carton with him. Travis? He stops in the hallway after taking another swig. Yeah? I know what his answer will be, but I ask anyway. I'm desperate. Can you help me? With that book stuff you're doing? He points using the carton. Yeah. I have to write something. Whoa, Allie. I can give you new spark plugs, change your oil, even rebuild your carburetor. But the writing? No can do. When it comes to that, my brain is like gears with no grease, parts grinding together. Seriously, it ain't pretty. Please? You have to be better at it than me. He takes a deep breath. Can't you wait until Mom gets home? She left a message saying she's closing, and I can't tell her I need help that late. She'll be mad. Look, you know how I'd love to help you out, but the whole school thing, it's like asking a blind man to drive a bus. Besides, he says, sipping again, I'd rather eat a bag of hair. He's trying to make me laugh, and the picture in my head is funny and kind of gross. But I can't laugh. I can't. I'm too desperate. I must look sad because his voice is sweet. Seriously, Al, I would help you, but I'm no better at it than you. I'm really not. The next morning, I'm trying to decide if I should turn in my paper, knowing Mr. Daniels will probably think I spit it out in 2 minutes. The truth is that it cost me my whole night and a headache that was so bad. It reminded me of the Queen in Alice in Wonderland always yelling, "Off with her head," just because I thought that would be a relief. I worry what Mr. Daniels will say about it. For now, he's in the hallway with another kid. Good morning, Keisha says. I have something for you. And she holds out a cupcake. Cupcake, Max says. Put your eyes back in your head, Max. This is not for you, Keisha says. Me want cupcake, Oliver says, flailing about a bit. Me love cupcakes. You're such a freak, Shay says. That's Cookie Monster who talks like that. Oliver gets dead serious. Not a single thing on him is moving except his mouth. If I'm talking like that, then I'm the one talking like that. And besides, do you really think that Cookie Monster would turn down a cupcake? I mean, isn't it broccoli or nuclear sludge or something? You could tell him it's a big, tall cookie with frosting on it. He'd suck it down like a vacuum cleaner. I bet you he would. You want to bet me? Do you? Jessica begins to speak, but Shay cuts her off with a look. No, I won't bet you. I don't bet on anything, ever, and especially not with you. Shay spins on her foot and leaves. Jessica scurries after her. It takes 3/4 of a second for Oliver to be onto something else. Wait, that reminds me, he says. During our class party, I hid a Halloween cookie somewhere in my desk. The Halloween party? Keisha asks. That was weeks ago. Yeah. He starts digging for it, things falling to the floor as he searches. If it's there, it's probably as hard as concrete. Keisha turns back to me. What is it with this class? They lose control over food. She shakes her head and then pushes the cupcake toward me. For you. For me? I ask. Nobody ever brings me anything, except trouble. Yeah, of course it's for you. Why? Because I'm still cracking up over what you did with those flowers. That's why. She cuts the cupcake in half and shows me that it says, wow, inside. I'm happy. Mr. Daniels walks back into the room. Okay, my Fantasticos, good news. All homework assignments have been passed in today. That's worth 5 extra minutes of snack time. The boys are as excited as if they've heard there would be free pizza delivered too. I hear Keisha kind of laughing to herself. I figure it's because of the boys all going nuts. But then she turns to me and says, "You've got guts, Allie. I respect that." I like that too, but mostly I like that she likes it. "Hey," she says, "you want to sit together at lunch? I've been sitting with some people, but I don't want to talk to them and they don't talk to me. And you sit alone, so." A mind movie shows us sitting at the table talking and me being happy. "Allie, what do you think?" "Oh, yes, that would be great. Thank you." After the best lunch and recess I've had in a long time, Mr. Daniels waves me up to his desk. He has my homework and my journal. He's trying to look all happy and light, but I can see the seriousness underneath. "Hey, Allie, I'm glad you turned in your homework, and it's more than you usually write. That's great." I stay quiet. "I'm just wondering how long it took you to do your homework." "I'm not going to ask you to make changes or anything. I'm just wondering." This feels like a trap. I know it isn't good, so I wonder if it would be better to say I did it fast on the bus or if I should tell him that I worked really hard. "Allie, it took me kind of a long time, I guess. I mean, I tried to do my best on it." I look at it. "Is it wrong?" "It's got some good ideas, and that's what the assignment was all about. No worries, okay?" No worries. That's easy for him to say. Chapter 16. What I've Got. I like Mr. Daniels, but he's got a thing for reading, always talking about books and how great they are. Personally, I'd rather have the flu. The last thing Mr. Daniels said yesterday was that we were going to write stories today and that it will be our chance to show him what we've got. The only thing I've got is a plan. With a big piece of cloth and a safety pin, my writing arm hangs in a sling. How can he ask me to write like this? I'm feeling pretty proud, I must admit. All I have to do is remember not to move it. I wish it really did hurt. It would be easier. He sees me when I walk in, and it isn't long before he comes over to ask me what has happened. I've practiced the story all the way to school about how I tripped over my cat on the stairs and fell. "You have a cat?" he asks. "Yeah." He nods. Then he glances down at my sling. "Is it a new cat?" "No, we've had that cat forever, a regular member of the family," I say, feeling like I'm starring in a commercial for something I'd never eat in a million years. He has a weird look on his face when he asks, "What's his name?" "Whose name?" "Your cat." I panic. "Pork chop" pops out of my mouth. He laughs. "Pork chop the cat, huh? I bet the dogs in the neighborhood like that." I'm nervous and embarrassed, wondering why I have to be so weird, wondering why I now have to watch the mind movie in my head of a furry, meowing pork chop with a tail. But when the rest of the class sits down to do their writing assignments, he says I can read a book. I stare at the letters and watch them dance and move on the bright white page. My eyes ache and my head hurts. Mr. Daniels watches me, so I look down at the page and remember to turn it every once in a while. With my eyes closed, I watch bright movies of me flying, one of my favorite movies. In this one, I'm flying just above the water, my stomach almost touching it, racing toward a castle filled with blue light. I open my eyes a bit to watch the others write. I look at the main page again. I even try to read some. I really do. But I can't help wondering why Mr. Daniels keeps looking over at me. Chapter 17. Misfit Lunch. I watch Albert sit at his desk and stare at the pages of a book. I know he's not reading. His eyes don't move at all. I see he has a new bruise on his jaw and decide I'll go over and talk to him. "Hey," I say. He looks up. Then something comes out of my mouth that I don't expect. "Do you want to sit with Keisha and me at lunch?" "Why?" "Well, you sit alone and we sit alone, but together too, so I thought that we could all sit alone together." That isn't a logical conclusion. Clearly, if we were all together. Yeah, I interrupt. I know, it was a joke. "So, you want to?" "Well, I suppose so." I guess I've got to eat somewhere, he says. Albert leans his chair back as he shakes his empty carton of chocolate milk to let the drops fall on his tongue. I wonder who decided that half pint of milk was enough. Why don't you just buy two? He puts his chair down and stares. Can't you just ask your mom for extra money in the morning? I say, readjusting my fake sling. This thing is a pain. I don't have to ask for money. It's kind of prepaid. And then I realize all at once. Of course. How stupid can I possibly be? Albert doesn't have many clothes and he gets a ticket from Mr. Daniels every morning. I guess I never thought about it before. He must get one of the free lunches. I hope I didn't upset him, so I say, I'm sorry. About what? Well, about, that you get the free lunch. He shrugs. There are worse things than a free lunch, I mean. Yeah, I guess. It disturbs my mom, but my dad says he wants to leave his mark on mankind with one of his inventions, and she says he should get a real job. They fight about it a lot, actually. I'm really surprised he told me that, and I decide to never tell another soul about it. Hey, says Keisha, sitting down. Hey, I say, and Albert nods. So, Albert, Keisha says, I watched Star Trek because you were always spouting off about it. The special effects are not that special. Kind of pathetic, actually, like a first grade puppet show. Albert looks horrified. Keisha laughs as she unwraps her sandwich. Yeah, I knew that would get you. Shay's voice arrives before she does. Look, Jessica, she says as they walk by. It's the island of misfit toys. Yeah, Jessica says. It's like a six-legged freak. Shay laughs and Jessica looks proud of herself. Those girls are like walking pricker bushes, Keisha says, taking a bite of her sandwich. Don't let them bother you. They don't bother me, Albert says. It doesn't bother you at all that she called us misfit toys? I ask. It doesn't bother me, Keisha says. That girl can flap her gums about me until the sun rises and sets again. I really don't care. I wish I didn't care, and I wish I wasn't jealous of Shay and all that she has. Albert is wide-eyed. But why are the toys all misfits? Wheels on a train can be fixed easily enough. Albert has his most serious voice turned up to high. And what's wrong with the doll anyway? Why is it a misfit? It seems to adhere to the standards of a typical doll. Wow, he is in full professor mode. The Charlie in the box, he continues, is just like a Jack in the box in every way, but his name. Something is not a misfit simply because it has a different name. That isn't true, I blurt out. He looks shocked. I suppose he isn't used to being corrected. He holds up his milk carton. Suppose I say this is orange juice. Doesn't change what it is inside. That's different, I say, thinking that the milk will feel like it's orange juice if it's told that enough. It is the same principle. I think of the words like dumb and baby and think how wrong Albert really is. What about the cowboy? Keisha asks. He rides an ostrich instead of a horse. That has got to make him a misfit. It is illogical to say he is a misfit just because he chooses to ride a different animal, provided he can carry out his cowboy duties. Albert, Keisha says, how can you possibly say cowboy duties with a straight face? I don't understand, he says. Keisha's forehead touches the table, and he continues, especially when you consider that ostriches run faster than horses, require less water to drink, and can use their legs and feet as weapons. They are fierce kickers with sharp claws. I, for one, would trade a horse for that. That's just logical. And then I think that if someone hung a sign on me that said anything, having that sign there wouldn't make it so. But people have been calling me slow forever right in front of me as if I'm too dumb to know what they're talking about. People act like the words slow reader tell them everything that's inside. Like I'm a can of soup and they can just read the list of ingredients and know everything about me. There's lots of stuff about the soup inside that they can't put on the label, like how it smells and tastes and makes you feel warm when you eat it. There's got to be more to me than just a kid who can't read well. Keisha drops into her seat, annoyed that Mr. Daniels has asked her to do a paper over because he knows she can do better. I've always hated hearing that from teachers, and then I realize I've never heard it from Mr. Daniels. And all of a sudden, that bugs me. Since the day of the mystery boxes, I keep thinking about how good it felt to do something right, to fit in. That's what I want, to feel like everyone else, to be told that the work I know is terrible isn't good enough. I want him to tell me that I could do better and see it in his face that he really thinks so. And then I remember that it is the best I can do. I haven't ran in class since I had the fake sling on my arm. After 3 days of wearing it, Mr. Daniels told me he was going to have the nurse call my mom about my injured arm, so I figured I'd better lose the sling. So now I'm stuck. I don't know who to be, the one who admits I can't do it or the pretender. Finally, I decide I'll give Mr. Daniels something so terrible that he'll have to ask me to do it over. I don't even try to spell anything correctly like I usually do. I just put a whole bunch of letters together that even I know make no sense. I walk up and hand it to him instead of putting it in the assignment cubby. Thanks, Allie, but if you're done, why don't you put it in the cubby? I push it toward him a little more. I thought you might want to check it over. We lock eyes for a few seconds, then he reaches out to take it from me. Okay, he says. He looks at it. His eyebrows scrunch up, and then he looks back up at me. He stays quiet, thinking, I can tell. I hear it in my head. Do better, Allie. And I would. I would magically do better, and Mrs. Silver would carry a trophy for me so big, she'd have to carry it on her back. Allie? Huh? I said that you can just put it in the cubby then. And the pictures in my head pop like bubbles. I walk away without taking it back. As soon as we all sit down in the cafeteria, Keisha announces to Albert, okay, this has been killing me all day long. What? I ask. Albert, so this Flint shirt that you wear every day? He interrupts. I do not, in fact, wear the same shirt every day. I have 5 identical ones. Keisha's eyes are wide. Seriously, Albert? You bought the same shirt 5 times? He doesn't seem to think it's a big deal. It's the one I liked. Well, anyway, Albert, Keisha says, I finally found out what the heck your shirt means. I Googled Flint, and you know what I found? His eyes widen. It's a place in Michigan, a kind of rock, something people use to light campfires, what arrowheads are made of, and a kind of sneaker. Albert doesn't say anything. Albert, did you hear me? What is with the Flint shirt? That just makes no sense. No sense whatsoever. Albert fidgets. Hey, Albert, I say. You okay? You know, Keisha didn't mean any harm. I am quite aware of her intentions. I worry. What are those? To find out why I wear the shirt. Funny how my brain wants to make things complicated, and his just cuts to the simplest thing. Well, the simplest thing with a bunch of fancy words and mile-long sentences. The meaning of my shirt is not any of those things. He closes his eyes before he takes a deep breath. Flint is an immortal genius from Star Trek, Season 3, Episode 19. It's called Requiem for... Keisha laughs, interrupting him. Albert, are you kidding me? Albert clears his throat and glances at the clock. Albert, I say, poking the side of Keisha's leg, and she, by some miracle, stops laughing. Go ahead. I want to know. After that day of being mean, I want to be extra nice. So, Flint is a smart guy? I ask. Albert readjusts himself in his seat. Flint goes away to his own planet. He puts up invisible barriers so that others won't sense life forms there. He creates robots to protect himself and keep him company. They are predictable. Sounds super weird if you ask me, says Keisha. Why wouldn't he live on Earth with people? He had once lived on Earth. He left to be alone. He wanted to be alone. Keisha falls forward, dropping her arms on the table. Why the heck would a man leave Earth with everything here to go off and sit on some rock in space all by himself? Albert hesitates. Well, he says it's to retreat from the unpleasantness of Earth and the company of people. Then he looks up right into my eyes. I can see that. I can see why someone would want to avoid being with other people. A great number of them are not very nice to me. And, well, listen, Albert. Keisha's voice has softened. I didn't mean. Albert interrupts. I was not implying it was you who is not kind to me. I'm relieved. But there are others who are not kind, he says. Secret. Just as I thought, my mother smiles when she sees Albert, Keisha, and me walk into Peterson's. She seats us in a booth right in the middle of the restaurant and takes our order. Keisha sits next to me, and Albert fills a good part of the seat across from us. So, Keisha begins, thanks for inviting us for ice cream. You're welcome. Must be cool to come here every day, she says. Is the ice cream free? Albert asks. My mom doesn't let me have ice cream more than once a week, and it isn't free, but we get it for half off, I think, I tell them. Albert fidgets a bit. So, do either of you ever miss Mrs. Hall? Our older teacher, Mrs. Hall, I say. She was okay, but I like Mr. Daniels way more. He's nice. He is, Keisha says. Goofy, but in a good way. Yeah, I say. I do not think he is a trusting person, Albert says. Mr. Daniels? I ask. Albert rubs his palms on the top of his jeans. He inquired about my bruises. I think he hypothesized that they came from my parents. Then I had to speak to the school psychologist. He shifts in his seat. My parents rescue insects and arachnids from our home, taking them outside rather than killing them. It's illogical for my parents to save spiders and hit their own son. I look over at Keisha, hoping she knows what to say. She doesn't. I take a deep breath. Well, Albert, even I have wondered where all those bruises come from. His voice is quiet, like a boy, not a robot version of one. There's a group of boys. I meet them many days after school. You meet them? Keisha asks. Well, no, he says. They meet me. I'm sorry, I say. He nods once and then stares at the floor. Can't you tell anyone? I ask. Albert shrugs. Well, do you at least hit them back? Keisha asks. I don't believe in violence. And anyway, it seems to me that big kids get the blame in a fight. No one's going to think a big kid like me didn't start it, so they would assume I give the punches, not receive them. He stares at his vanilla ice cream and then looks up, maybe a little happier. This reminds me of ice cream on Ellis Island. You may have a skull full of brains, but again, Albert, no sense, Keisha says. When the immigrants came to America through Ellis Island, they would sometimes get ice cream for a treat, but they didn't recognize ice cream. They thought it was butter, so they spread it on toast. We laugh. I think this is like that. Those boys just think I'm a fighter, so they, well, fight me. No, Albert, Keisha says. They think you won't fight. They think you'll just keep being their punching bag. That's why they fight you. His eyebrows scrunch up. Albert, this is no joke, Keisha says. They leave nasty marks on you. Don't your parents get mad? My mother would hunt down anyone who did that to me. My father is busy with his inventions, and my mother has other things to worry about. You should ask them for help, I say. I think Keisha is right. He shrugs. I don't want help. I should be able to solve this. Albert, Keisha says, her dark eyes wide and angry, you can solve this. Just don't let those boys pound on you. You said you're bigger than they are. Yes, I call them the fire ants, a group of small beings that can become overwhelming. I laugh, but I'm sad on the inside. No, seriously, Albert. Keisha is downright mad now. Teach them a lesson. Hit them back. I don't think it is within my nature to hit someone. I will not meet violence with violence. I won't stoop to their level. Stoop to their level, I ask. If I act like them, I am no better, he says. Well, I say this is like trying to give Jello a spine, Keisha says. Albert squints, which makes me wonder if he's actually mad. Some of the most lethal creatures on Earth are invertebrates. Don't throw that science at me, Keisha says. All I know is that you need to stick up for yourself. If you just let them do that, it's like telling them it's okay. Albert stays quiet. Keisha's voice is no longer soft. I just don't get it, Albert. What in the world would it take for you to fight back? Albert looks upset. I know Keisha is trying to help him, but I think it's like throwing him an anchor for a life jacket. So, Albert, you've always liked science? I ask, trying to get another conversation going, but Keisha gasps and looks at the ceiling, frustrated with Albert. Yes, Albert says, but Allie, I would like to ask you a question. Sure, go ahead. Shay is not kind to many people, but I have observed that she is the most unkind to you, and I don't understand it. Do you know why? Yeah, Keisha says. She really does seem to have it in for you. Yeah, well. Oh, is there a story? Keisha says. I just love a good story. There's no story. I won the art award last year. She was mad about that. Oh no. There's more of a story, all right. Now spill it. Let's just say she holds grudges. Spill it. Use the word grudges, and there has to be a really good story. Well, on my second day here last year, I bought a bag of cheese crackers at lunch. I was assigned to sit next to her, which she wasn't so happy about. I was almost done with my sandwich when she grabbed the bag of crackers from the table and ripped them open and ate them. Are you kidding? She did that? I nod. I really don't want to finish this story. She is unbelievable, Keisha says, shaking her head. Anyway, I kind of had this habit of doing things without thinking. Well, I pause. I used to do it even more than I do now. So when she took a piece of cake out of her lunchbox, I reached over, sunk my fingernails through the frosting, grabbed a hunk, and stuffed it in my mouth. Keisha hangs over the table laughing while Albert looks like I stuck him with a pin. You did that? He asks, wide-eyed. And then, oh, I really don't want to tell them this. While I licked the frosting off my fingers, I asked her, so how do you like that? I cringe when I think of Shay's face. Total surprise, followed by looking at me like I was a disease on 2 feet. And somehow, deep down inside, I knew I'd pay for that forever. But Keisha is still laughing. That is the best. More people ought to put that girl in her place. She walks all over everybody. I kind of think out loud. She thought I was a freak. She deserved it. Just taking your food like that? Are you kidding? Well, the thing was, I say, and then I stop because I can't quite push out the rest. I was mad that she'd eaten my crackers, but when lunch was over, I reached into my jacket pocket and found mine. Keisha laughs out loud and long while Albert raises his eyebrows. Wait, Albert says, she didn't actually eat yours? I shake my head. So she thinks you grabbed a hunk of her cake for no reason? Keisha asks. Yeah, kind of, yeah. Keisha's laughter gets even louder just as my mother is looking across the restaurant, giving me the look. Keisha leans against me and says, okay, I admit it. That is the best story I've heard in my whole long life. Allie Nickerson, if I didn't love you already for that flower thing you pulled, I think I may love you for that. Is this a good thing? I hear the front door slam and Travis calls for me. He sounds happy. I mean, really happy. He appears in the doorway of my room. Guess what? What? I ask, but he doesn't answer. He just stands there with a big dumb grin on his face. And then I notice what he has in his hand and I jump up. You got it? Really? He still doesn't answer. He just shakes the keys like a baby rattle. So we run outside and sitting there at the curb is a surprise, but not the kind of surprise I'd hoped for. I know it doesn't look like much, but he's wrong. It looks like a lot. It's enormous and bright green. I mean, seriously, it's like a pickle with tires. No, I say, it's cool. You can't lie to me, Squirt. I know you too well. Why are there lines on it? I ask, leaning in. Oh, well, I guess the guy that had the car painted it with a brush instead of a spray gun. I'll have to sand that out and strip the chrome on the side. But the engine is good. It's going to fly. The only way this thing is going to fly is if he straps it to a giant balloon. A sketchbook picture is already drawing itself in my head. And there are no computers in a car this old, just a man and his machine. I look up. Is that really a good thing? He shoves me a little. You'll love it when it can take us places. To the beach? Six Flags? I look up quick. Really? Wherever you want to go, Squirt. I'd never imagined that his car would be our car, that he would take me places. You want to take it out with me now? Sure. Am I pushing or pulling? You're going to be sorry you dissed this beauty. I'm telling you. You've got to be loyal to your car. Travis, you do know it's only a car, right? Only a car? He asks. Only a car? He runs to the other side and slides in. He unlocks the door for me and I get in too. It's a big bench seat. The Walking Liberty $50 hangs from his rearview mirror. It makes me feel like Dad and Grandpa are with us. When he turns on the engine, it sounds like a giant with a bad cough. We head up Farmington Avenue past St. Thomas Church. It had been raining all morning, and now it starts again. Big drops of rain fall on the windshield like bombs. Travis says a bad word, pulls over, and grabs a silver spring and a piece of wet rope from the glove compartment. What are you doing? He jumps out into the rain, grabbing the windshield wiper on my side and connecting it to something at the bottom of the window with the spring. Then he ties that wiper to the second wiper and throws the rope through his window and jumps in, laughing and dripping wet. What the heck are you doing? I ask. 3 hours, he says. What are you talking about? 3 hours after this thing was registered this morning, the wiper motor went. So I went by the hardware store and rigged this up. Watch. With his left arm, he pulls the rope and the wipers clear the window of water. When he lets go, the spring yanks them back down, slapping the bottom of the window. Hey, I thought you said you were a genius, I joke. I am. All geniuses deal with bugs in the system. Isn't that more like what anteaters do? Hilarious, he laughs. Isn't it a little hard to drive and do that? You're right, Squirt. You could do the wipers, he says, throwing the rope into the back seat. Climb over and sit behind me. Okay, I say, climbing over the seat. I give the rope a pull and then let go, and the wipers slap up and down. It's kind of fun to see the wiper clear the window, make the blurry clear. And I think about what a great drawing this will be later, and I'm happy for the weird pickle-colored car. Wow, this is fun and hard, I tell Travis. My arm is getting tired. He watches me in the rearview mirror and laughs. I laugh too, and it makes pulling the rope even harder. We pull up to a red light, and Travis tells me to look at the face of the lady riding in the car next to us, and I do. She looks shocked, and I think her expression is the funniest thing I've ever seen. Until I see Shay sitting next to her. As soon as Mr. Daniel steps into the hallway to talk to another teacher, Shay says in her "I'm being loud on purpose so everyone can hear me" voice, "So, Jessica, yesterday I saw that Allie riding in this disgusting green-colored car that I can't believe was even allowed on the road. Allie had to pull a rope to even get the windshield wipers to work." "You must be joking," says Jessica. "Allie, what junkyard did you find that heap in?" Jessica laughs like she's supposed to. I try to ignore them. My mom has always said you just ignore mean people because they're only trying to get a rise out of you. I mean, what kind of loser would have a car like that? Probably the only thing your mother can afford. Finally, I can't take it. It's my brother Travis's car, and it is not a loser car. Oh no, it's a loser car, all right. I guess that makes your brother Travis a loser. They laugh. I didn't think there could be a bigger loser than you, Allie, but I guess I was wrong, Shay says. Shut up, I say to Shay, just as Mr. Daniels walks back in. You're the losers. You, not him. Allie, Mr. Daniels calls. Come here, please. What? I ask, trying not to sound disrespectful. I haven't known you to name call before. They can call me anything they want, and believe me, they do, but they can't say anything about Travis. Never. Is Travis your older brother? He is my big brother. He half smiles. Is there a difference? Yeah, there is. An older brother is older. A big brother looks out for you and smiles when you walk into a room. He nods slowly. I see. He clears his throat. I understand you're upset and I appreciate that you're defending your brother, but walk away next time, okay? I nod, but I have to admit that I'm getting awfully tired of walking away. I wishes. Our classroom is brainstorming ideas for a community service project. Shay raises her hand. I am having a birthday party and inviting everyone because I don't want to leave anyone out. How does that relate to our community service project? Keisha asks, and the whole class waits for an answer. Well, it's about community, everyone being involved. Yeah, right, Keisha whispers to me. Mr. Daniels compliments Shay on inviting everyone and moves on quickly. Later, as we get our stuff for lunch and recess, Shay speaks to Jessica in her loud voice. I'm so mad my mother is making me invite everyone. Then she looks directly at Keisha and me and says, I hope some people know better than to actually show up. My mom insists I go to Shay's party. Even after I tell her that Shay is mean, my mom asks, well, there will be other kids there, right? You may actually have fun. Albert grabbed his invitation from the mailbox before his mother saw it. Keisha's family is visiting her grandmother, so I'm alone. At lunch, I ask Albert and Keisha about some diseases I can use as an excuse not to go. How about bubonic plague, otherwise known as the Black Plague? Albert asks. Keisha almost spits out her milk. Seriously? That may be a bit much, I say. But then I begin to wonder, what does that look like anyway? Oh, well, chills, fever, cramps, seizures, toes, fingers, nose, and lips turn black because the cells die, and you'd likely spit blood. Albert, Keisha says, that's nuts. She could be sick like a normal person, you know? Cough, runny nose. Sound familiar? That's fine, he says, taking a bite of a sandwich. It just seems uninteresting. That's all. Shay's party's at the Butterfly Gardens, and when I arrive, I recognize some girls from other classrooms. They are all wearing friendship bracelets. Jessica even wears even more now. I still ache to have some and wonder if Keisha would like a bracelet like that. Soon we are lined up and brought to the main butterfly garden, which is a clear plastic tent set up in a bigger room. The tent is filled with plants and flowers, and flying around are tons of butterflies. People stand there as the butterflies land on them, and you can feel how happy people are just by watching their eyes. Before we enter the tent, a lady talks to us about the butterflies. She tells us about their patterns and to look for ones with a giant dot on each wing. These are adaptations to scare other animals into thinking they are eyes. So other animals will think they are bigger and more dangerous and leave them alone. I wish I could do this with Shay, and that Albert could do this with those boys. She reminds us not to grab any butterflies because they are injured easily. We are supposed to stand and let them come to us. They'll love your orange shirt. She's right. The butterflies do come to me. Their colors and patterns make me wonder why I haven't been drawing butterflies. They don't fly like birds. Instead, they kind of fly all over the place. Makes me wonder if I'm part butterfly. I put my arms out like a tree, and one, then two land on my arm. I love them. I never knew before how much I love butterflies. I think about the story Albert told in social studies when we were studying Native Americans. He said that they believed butterflies were special creatures and wish givers, and that if you can catch a butterfly, whisper your deepest wish into it, and then set it free, it will carry your wish to the spirits who will grant it. I would never grab a butterfly, but once again, my hands do things without my say-so. When a beautiful, bright orange and black one lands in my hand, I loosely close my fist around it. And then my thinking part steps forward and quickly realizes what I've done. I open my hand and the butterfly zigs and zags before landing on the ground. The lady who gave us the directions is next to me in a second. Oh no, what have you done? She asks. I want to explain about wish givers, but Shay and the others appear. It figures it was Allie. She probably killed it. Everyone knows you can't touch a butterfly's wings. I didn't kill it. I mean, I would never hurt it. I had a wish, and I thought that... The girls laugh. Such a freak show, Shay says. Suki rushes to the butterfly to try and help, but a woman runs over and tells her to step back. Who are you with? The woman asks me. Shay's mother steps forward. She's with us, but she's not my daughter. She's part of my daughter's party. I wish my own were here. She'd understand. I feel terrible watching the butterfly on the ground, flapping its wings and not going anywhere. I know the feeling. The first butterfly lady wears white gloves as she puts the injured one in a box, saying, "At least its wings aren't torn." The second lady stares at me like I'm a ruthless butterfly hunter. I want to say I'm sorry, but I forget to because I'm watching mind movies of the butterfly falling and never being better. And then the movie is filled with butterflies that are all falling like rain. And I feel as sad as I did watching the real one fall. Suki comes over. "I know you didn't hurt the butterfly on purpose." "Thanks," I mumble. She's right, but it was still my hand. I guess I just had to make that wish. Sometimes a person will do just about anything for a wish to come true.